Hello, welcome to the UKRunChat Podcast. I'm Michelle, and today I'm joined by Tanya Kenrick from the ISPO Impact Foundation. Now, many of us are involved in running clubs, community groups, charities, and grassroots initiatives that are making a real difference to people's lives. But turning a great idea into something sustainable often requires some funding and support. So today with Tanya, we're exploring a new opportunity that could help you use sport and outdoor activity to create a positive change in your community. So Tanya's going to be telling us all about this new foundation, and you haven't got long to apply for it. So do listen carefully, and hopefully we answer all your questions in this episode. Hi Tanya, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So just before we get into what the fund is, just tell us a little bit about you and your background, really.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Michelle. And thank you so much for having me today. So I've been working in marketing and communications my whole life. And I've been working in the outdoor industry. So for companies like Low Alpine and the North Face. And then 17 years ago, I moved into sort of the charity sector, still within the outdoor industry. But I helped, I was working as general manager for the European Outdoor Conservation Association, EOCA, and that was raising money from the outdoor industry to put into conservation projects around the world, which was really exciting. We funded some fabulous projects, and by the time I left, literally 4 months ago, we'd raised 6 million euros, which had gone into over 200 conservation projects around the world. So that's where I'm coming from. And now we have this great opportunity with the ISPO Impact Foundation, which is another charitable foundation based in the outdoor and sports industry still, but with a sort of an expanded remit, as it were, to what I was doing at EOCA.
Yeah, so you've set up this fund, haven't you? You've been working hard over the last few months to get this, and it's a £1 million fund, isn't it? So it's
€1 million, so slightly more than a £1 million, but yes, but it's a global fund. So it has been put together by the ISPO trade show, which is sort of international sports and outdoor sectors. And it has a trade show every year, and it's moving from Munich across to Amsterdam this year for the first time with new owners. And as part of the sort of the relaunch and the excitement around this new show, the organisers of ISPO are putting in €1 million per year, every year, so for the foreseeable future, to fund non-profit organisations. And they're going to be funding quite a broad variety of projects. So we have the nature conservation side and environmental stewardship. So looking at restoring damage that has been done to the environment, as well as preventing damage from being done in the first place. And then the other side of the funding, which is probably more exciting for your community, is the getting people active side of projects. So that could be getting people active through a sport such as cycling, or traditional cycling, or running, or climbing, or anything outdoors. But it could be more traditional sports such as football or cricket or paddle, swimming, all those sorts of things. So getting people that are not currently active involved and active, and on a regular and long-term basis. So not just come and have a one-off event and thanks very much, goodbye. It's more a come and try this, come and get involved. Oh, come back next week and let's see you, into the foreseeable future. And this could be working with all sorts of different groups. So it could just be, local school children in the area, or it could be something a little bit more specialist, where you're working to break down barriers where people have felt unable to join into something for a whole host of reasons.
Yeah, wow. So what was the motivation behind creating this ISPO Impact Foundation then?
So ISPO is very much about sports, winter sports and outdoor, and the communities around those sports. And it's about appreciating where people want to go and do those sports, so the great outdoors, and also looking after, I guess, the livelihoods of people doing those sports as well. if you want to go out running or biking and the environment is so damaged that you can't do that, well, actually, then that's no good for anybody. So it's about the motivation is using the outdoors and sports as a force for good, as a power to be able to make a difference, and to make a change and some lasting impact.
Yeah. So why do you think, like, as a foundation, why do you think that sport and outdoor activity are such powerful tools then for creating change?
I think because, sports is about, it's about community, isn't it? And it's about involvement and supporting one another and doing things together. And I think when people come together with a shared passion, great things can happen. And especially when you're doing something outdoors, and you're appreciating the landscapes and the wildlife and the nature all around you, I think that kind of feeds a passion within you to want to look after it as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm a trail runner, and yeah, I couldn't enjoy my sport without the environment being, looked after and clean and accessible, really.
Definitely.
So I think they work well together, don't they?
Definitely. And I bet you notice, even if you do the same route every single night, I bet you notice the changing seasons and what's going on around where you're running.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about that this morning, actually, and we do. I think when you're constantly running through the same landscape, you do notice tiny little changes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I do on my dog walks, and there's a kingfisher that sometimes appears down by the river, and it's amazing how excited you can get, isn't it, just by this one little glimpse.
Yeah, I love it. That makes or breaks a run for me sometimes. Like, we saw a deer yesterday, just running across the path, and it was a lovely moment. Yeah, wonderful. So you mentioned community there. It's community is so important. I think we get wrapped up sometimes in performance and competition, particularly as runners within our community. But actually, that community impact is often the biggest, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. People talk about finding their tribe, don't they? And then you get involved in an activity with those people, and it's about the camaraderie and the feeling of support, I think, and it's not about necessarily being the fastest or being able to stay doing the run for the longest or whatever. I'm part of a swimming group, and we are swimmers and we're dippers. So, some people will just go in, get their heads in, and then they're straight back out again. And other people will go for a much, much longer swim. And actually, it really doesn't matter, does it? Because you're all doing it together. And, there's something wonderful about all having slightly different experiences, but in the same place and doing it together.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're part of a group doing that, you can encourage people who perhaps haven't done it before or are feeling a little bit nervous.
Absolutely.
You've got experience, haven't you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So what kinds of... I'm just thinking about what might prevent people from participating. Like, what are some of the biggest barriers that are preventing people?
There's all sorts of things. Yeah, I mean, for a start, it might just be a lack of knowledge. If nobody's ever taken you on a run, for instance, that could be a really massively daunting thing. Like, what kind of kit do I wear? What do I do if I get tired? Where should I go? What happens if it's getting dark? That could be a bit scary. So there's all sorts of, knowledge. I have no idea. The first idea about how to get up into the mountains, for instance, what do I do? Do I need to take a waterproof or a compass and I can't read a map? All those sorts of things. It could be that actually you would really like to get involved, but you just don't have the money to actually buy the relevant sort of kit. And I know for running, maybe to start with, you maybe don't need a huge amount, but that could still put people off who haven't got the right kind of trainers or whatever. So it could be a lack of knowledge. It could be a lack of money or background, maybe even where you've grown up. That's not the kind of thing that people do, And so again, lack of knowledge, or that would be really embarrassing to start running or to start swimming when nobody around here does that. And then you've got other things. There could be barriers such as your age, for instance. Maybe you feel too young, or maybe you feel too old to get involved. It could be about gender. Girls aren't supposed to do that kind of attitude that you might have been brought up with, or, well, why can't they? But then you have other issues, such as maybe your sexuality is something that you feel is making a lack of safe spaces for you to do an activity, or it could be your ethnicity, again, your background or something. So there could be all sorts of different barriers that are either actually present, or that you're finding hard to get over in order to take that first step to join a group or to get yourself active.
Yeah. So really, this project it's got a huge scope, actually,
Yes, it
hasn't
has.
it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It could hopefully impact a massive amount of people, from all different walks of life. From something as simple as just getting a local group out into the outdoors for, the World Health Organization talks about 150 minutes a week as being like the absolute minimum that people should be doing. It could be just the bare minimum of getting a school group out into nature and sort of looking for bugs and leaves and things like that. Or it could be something, that actually needs a lot more work to encourage people to come and join you.
Yeah. So what are you looking for then, Tanya, in terms of applications? And just talk us through what the fund is and what people might apply for.
So we have the two areas of funding: the nature conservation, environmental stewardship side, and then the getting active outdoors, which is getting active, sorry, not just outdoors, which is a sort of participation and inclusion side of things. And then within that, we have 4 different tiers of funding. So it could be up to €2,000 for a really small grassroots group or team or organisation that's just doing stuff really locally on their own doorstep. And then we also have around a fund for around a grant of around €10,000 for maybe smaller organisations that are just getting going and they need some money to help them grow. And then 2 larger grants of 30,000 and up to €100,000, and they're for sort of organisations that have been around for a while, and they are maybe trying to take a next step to expand their work into another location, or to work with another group or something like that, and potentially across another country as well. So that could have a really big impact. But I also want to make it clear that actually you can have a massive impact on your doorstep with just up to €2,000, because a really small grassroots group, if you impact the lives of 3 people, that for a small grassroots group is a massive impact. When you think of what you could bring positively to those people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of applications are you seeking? Have you got in mind what might make a good application, for example?
Yes, I think applications that this is a really hard question, because there's so many things, aren't there? So things that add something to what is already being done, or on unlocking something that maybe might otherwise not happen. Something where the impact can be easily identified or measured would be good. And something that involves community and builds stronger bonds, no matter what kind of project it is, but that really is rooted in the heart of the community. And community could be your local area, or it could be the community of runners that you're working with, or it could be, a certain age bracket or a certain ethnic group that you're trying to target. And something that keeps people involved in the long term, like I said before, not just a sort of a one-off event, but something that could continue and build and grow, as that person gets better at doing whatever the activity is, or feels more comfortable in that space. And I love things that are just a little bit creative or off the wall, something that's a bit new and we really want to try this because we think it'll really sort of hit the nail on the head. So a new way of trying to restore a habitat, if you're in the sort of the conservation side of things, or a new way of reaching a group of people by unlocking a previously closed pathway. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were talking about wanting to try some bushcraft sessions for dads and daughters as a way of finding a way of, something for the two of them to do together. And I just thought, what a lovely, lovely idea, to find something. And that's a very new idea for me, but I just thought, what a brilliant idea. And I'm sure that would be a really good time well spent, I think, dads and daughters.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it really made me smile.
Yeah. So how many grants are you kind of thinking that you might be handing out then? It's going to be October, November time, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're looking probably for the really big headline projects. We'll probably only fund maybe 3 or 4 of those. Those are €100,000 each. And then maybe sort of 8 to 10 of the €30,000, maybe around 10 of the up to €10,000 ones. And then we're looking at maybe around 30 of these really small grassroots micro donations, we're calling them, of up to €2,000. But this is the very first year that we're doing this. So I have no idea what's going to come through the door. Very exciting, very scary all at the same time. And so I'm guessing that those numbers will probably we'll have to be a bit flexible depending on what comes in.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to ask you what kind of applications you've having, because I'm sure you can't talk about that. But what sort of thing might make a strong application if somebody's kind of thinking, I want to apply for this, and is a bit nervous about this, hasn't applied for a grant before.
Yeah.
What sorts of things will they be putting into their application that you'll be looking out for, do you think?
Okay, so it's quite a simple, if you're literally applying for the small micro donation, it's a really straightforward process. So we'll be asking you for details of your organisation, proof that you exist as an organisation, a small budget to show what you would do with the money that you're asking for, and then just a brief explanation about what it is you want to do and how you might measure impact from that. And I think, and a reference from somebody that you have that has either given you a donation in the past, or maybe another organisation that works with you. Yeah. So it's really quite brief and straightforward for a micro donation. We don't want to make it onerous. We want you to be able to use the money and not to drown you in paperwork. There's obviously a little bit more involved if you're applying for more money, but the amount of questions that we ask sort of increases as it goes up the tiers. But for the small micro donations, it is really very, very straightforward, and hopefully wouldn't take more than about, half an hour or something to put something together, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think we need to say it's for not-for-profit organisations.
It is, but we do understand also that some really good grassroots organisations mightn't be officially registered as a non-profit. So if that is the case, we would like to see a bank account in the name of the organisation, proof of, and then some other kind of proof that you actually exist and are doing work as that organisation. So it could be affiliation to some sort of a sports club. It could be a letter from a local authority. It could be evidence of work that you have been doing over the last few years, or some from some sort of other respected organisation saying, we know this organisation, we've been working with them for the last few years and they've been doing this. So if you really are a tiny grassroots organisation, we're hoping that we're not making it too difficult or complicated for you to be able to get involved as well.
Yeah, I know that sounds really accessible. That's great. So if somebody's listening right now and kind of sitting on an idea and thinks they'd like to apply but doesn't think it's significant enough, what would you say to them?
Oh, absolutely. Have a look on our website. I'm sure you'll ask me for the details later, but have a look on our website and just have a look at what we're looking for. There's a whole load of questions and answers as well. But no, we're open to anybody doing anything pretty much that fits into our criteria. But it could just be something as simple as, hey, we're a water sports club and we need to buy some kayaks so that more people can get involved, and for a micro donation, that kind of thing, which will have longevity, because obviously the kayaks, once you've bought them, you've got them and you can then bring people in to have a go on them and things. So, it could be as simple as that, or it could be as simple as hiring a venue so that you can do your sport, or hiring some transport or something so that you can take a group of people to a specific place in order to carry out that activity. We want to make it as accessible as possible and as easy as possible for grassroots organisations to apply to us.
Yeah, that's great. It can be quite scary, I think, when somebody mentions fundraising to you as a club leader. It can sound a bit daunting, can't it?
Absolutely. And I'm sure that you have in your mind sort of, oh my goodness, there's my whole weekend gone. I should be sat at the computer screen answering loads of inane questions. But hopefully you'll find it's not actually like that, and it is fairly quick and straightforward.
Yeah, so if you're thinking of applying to the fund, it's open until it's midday on the 30th of June, isn't it?
Yes, midday on the 30th of June, and I'm afraid we can't accept any late applications. So if you are thinking of applying, please send it in before the absolute deadline, just in case there's a computer glitch or some hideous technical problem.
Yeah, so tell us what the website is, Tanya, and we'll pop it in the show notes as well for people to click on directly.
Perfect. So it's ISPO Impact Foundation.org, and ISPO is IS for sugar, PO.
Yeah.
And on there, there's a section, there's a header at the top called Apply. And there you'll find the application form, and you'll also find a whole list of details about what it is we're looking for, alongside a webinar that we hosted last week, which just explains, if you've got an hour to spare and you want to watch it, it's up there. You can have a look and see the sorts of questions that we were asked as part of that webinar. But every single one of those questions is also written in a document also on that same page, so you can read through them at your leisure.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's exciting. And hopefully we can get you back on kind of
next time
once you've had some groups who've reported back on what they've done.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I'd like that. Thank you.
Yeah, it would be great to hear what comes out of it, actually. So hopefully applications are trickling in for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they are at the moment. And so when you go on to filling in the application form, there is a save function. So you don't have to do it all at once either. And there's several pages, but if you just put a couple of characters in each of the boxes, it'll let you move on to the next page. So you can have a look at every single question, go away and think about it, and then come back and fill it in. Why did I start telling you about that? I can't remember.
I think just because it makes it easy, doesn't it? I noticed there's a handy Excel downloadable as well that tells you what all the questions are on there.
Which will tell you what all the questions are. So have a think. And if you get stuck, info@ispoimpactfoundation.org will come to me, and I'll help you with your query.
Oh, there we go. So you've got a very busy time ahead now, Tanya.
I have. Yes. Oh, that's why I was telling you.
Yeah.
Because there's a save function on there. So yes, we've had quite a number of applications submitted, but there's also quite a lot in there that have been saved for people to continue at a later date. So yes. So exciting, but I know that it's only 2 weeks, and I'm really sorry it's such a short time deadline. But like I said, the micro donations are hopefully relatively quick to fill out.
Yes. Well, hopefully there's some listeners out there who are already thinking, yes, I'm going to apply. So yeah,
fingers crossed.
Let us know, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. As have we covered everything today, Tanya? Is there anything else we need to know?
I don't think so. I think, no, you've asked lots of good questions, and hopefully I've got everything out that will help people to decide whether or not they want to apply.
Yeah. Oh, well, fantastic. Oh, well, all the very best with that. And it's been lovely having you on to chat.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Michelle, it was really kind.
So if today's conversation has sparked an idea for your club, community group or organisation, we'd encourage you to find out more about the ISPO Impact Foundation. We'll put the link in our show notes that Tanya mentioned. And as always, thank you for listening. Until next time, happy running.